with thanks to my very first Patreon, Karol Smaczynski. Dziękuję bardzo.
In this episode of Behind the BrBr Ding, you're going to learn everything you've ever wanted to know about Ryan Martinie from the band Mudvayne. And in part 2, we cover his lesser known side projects like Soften the Glare. But in this episode, we're going to cover every one of his Warwick basses before his big change onto Fodera basses in 2021. All that and a lot more coming up.
The first lesson for Deng.
Tipping top tapper Ryan Martinie was born August 6, 1975 in Peoria, Illinois to a family of musicians. Ryan would report in an interview with For Bass Players Only that his father had an Alvarez nylon guitar, which was the first stringed instrument he picked up.
My father had a guitar, and it was an Alvarez nylon string, and so that was the first stringed instruments that I picked up.
In addition to this, his uncle played the trumpet, grandmother played piano, and grandfather the trombone. His grandfather had also been a choir director, and most likely guided Ryan's musical education. Recalled in an interview with the German Planet Guitar website, Ryan gained his first musical experiences at a young age with hymns. Classical music was added later, and he learned to play the trumpet, trombone, and horn. Since many bass players are known to be influenced by horn lines, Ryan also credits this time in retrospect as a great advantage for his development as a bass player. It's also been reported Ryan will go on to win several high school awards for classical vocals. Regarding his choice to play bass specifically, the details have never really been clear-cut. Ryan's automatic response when asked is typically boredom, before attributing the bass as part of his musical education and personal expression.
As country kids, we had to kind of figure it out on our own, I think. And so I think part of it was fueled by boredom. Why bass? Why bass? Well, because monophonic, polyphonic, rhythmic. It's always been about the song. And even more so as I get older, I'm less focused about the instrument itself. I don't really care about bass or guitar. They're just vehicles of me wanting to express something about the world or my life or something I'm feeling.
How did I get into bass? Well, I don't know. I think part of it was boredom. It's hard to really put a finger exactly on why I think anyone started, unless somebody says, here, play this. I got you this instrument. You should play this. But that's not what happened. You know, I picked it up through just proxy. Sure. There were instruments there, yeah. and so here they were in my hands, and I fell in love.
Planet Guitar would also report Ryan picked up the bass at the age of 12 in 1987. As for musical influences, that's another one that's hard to nail down, as Ryan enjoys a diverse range of influences. From Bjork, Emperor, the Dixie Chicks, Metallica, Rush, and John Patitucci, to name a few. When asked which LPs changed his life, Ryan responded, "I remember the first Jimi Hendrix song that I ever heard, The Wind Cries Mary, as well as the Beach Boys, the Beatles, the big band jazz stuff that my grandfather hooked me up to. I can't necessarily name an album that took me beyond where I was, but I can cite many albums that I feel are still very much a part of me. Details of which bass," see what I did there? Details of which bass Ryan started using are again a bit fuzzy. However, he does acknowledge using Fender and Ibanez basses prior to his time in Mudvayne, but the models have never been disclosed. We do know that Ryan continued to engage in creating music into his adolescence, eventually playing with a band named Broken Altar during the mid-1990s. According to interviews, Ryan had been performing with Broken Altar in Illinois before being spotted by members of the band Mudvayne. The original incarnation of Mudvayne formed in 1996 with Shawn on bass. Ryan describes his first encounter with the band in the Planet Guitar article. "They approached me and said whenever they needed a bass player, they would find me, and they should keep their word, because 2 years later I got a call, and the same evening the band was sitting on the sofa with me. Since I found their music very interesting, I didn't have to think long and got in. The band gave me a completely new outlet for my musical work. Suddenly it wasn't all about high-speed play and musical masturbation like my previous band." Ryan is credited on Mudvayne's first EP release, Kill I Order, in 1997. However, it is likely most contributions were made by previous bassist Shawn. According to an interview with Disturbed.org, only 1,000 copies of the EP were printed. Drummer Matthew McDonough then using the moniker Spag, yeah, I know, we'll get to that, don't you worry, he would add, There was such a demand for us to put out something locally, because we've been playing for some time. 3 of those songs on Kill Iota are live songs that we just tracked on our own. We wanted something to give the fans. But we were not disappointed by this record, not at all. Vocalist Chad Gray would further add, "We did it for hardly any money at all. There were 4 songs on it, and it was before Ryan joined the band. The band didn't metamorphosize into what it is now until Ryan came into it, as his headspace and love of playing really spurred things on." Following this, the biography page on Mudvayne.com confirmed the band officially started in 1996, and Ryan joined 2 years later in 1998. Speaking of Mudvayne, some fans have always wondered what the hell the name means. McDonough would explain. At one point, Chad was very poor, so he was donating plasma to make a little money. The nurse was having a hard time finding the artery, and he made a comment about, if you're looking for a mud vein, you have to go a bit lower. It became a joke, and we got attached to the name. Conversely, you'll find both Chad and Matt contradicting this story. Like most bands, they just want to be mysterious, I imagine. I think you heard the following question 100,000 times. Your name. What does it mean? Where does it come from? There are a lot of things that we share as a band. The name is one of those things. It's personal. The band continued their current trajectory with Ryan in tow. And on one very special evening, the band found themselves playing to a modest audience of just 4 people. And as luck would have it, the show was later revealed to consist of Slipknot Shawn Crahan, number 6 or clown to the fans, his guitar tech, an Epic Records A&R executive, and Mudvayne's own manager. Epic Records wasted no time in drawing up a contract which Mudvayne swiftly accepted. Mudvayne now find themselves sharing the same management as Slipknot. Clown became an avid fan and vocal supporter for the band. He also took on the role as executive producer on Mudvayne's follow-up album LD50, but was quick to point out he did little else than give Mudvayne a platform.
The only thing I really did was just help them get their start. They had all their music and they had all their art and their concepts, they had all their shit together, and more importantly, I got them tours. I didn't do anything specifically on the album, but I gave them a lot of tours to help sell that album.
Not long after signing, Mudvayne were off to record their first album. Recorded in 1999, LD50 took influence from Stanley Kubrick's classic 2001: A Space Odyssey, psychedelics, and American serial killer Ed Gein. Hell yourself, Hell Gein, and Me Gustalations. Writing the album was said to be a difficult task. Due to a restricted budget, time in the studio was limited and the band worked around the clock. Vocalist Chad Gray would explain. The pressure was insane, and he didn't finish writing Pharmacopoeia or Nothing to Gain until the band's final night in the studio. Drummer Matthew McDonough also described the experience as very psychologically straining, but it was also awesome to realise your vision on that level, and to have that kind of equipment available to you. Ryan shared in interviews that he joined the Warwick family in 1999, where he picked up his very first Warwick Thumb NT bass. This model was played almost exclusively up until very recently. His first Warwick Thumb bass was a 5-string made of BrBr, and he used it to record LD50. Ryan explained in an interview at the Warwick Bass Camp in 2016.
We got the Advance, and I was able to go to a music store, and I sat and played a bunch of different basses, and there happened to be a Thumb there. That's the first one that I bought. I fell in love with that sound. Out of all the ones that I played, that was the one for me. Finally had a little bit of cash to buy the one that I wanted, and it stuck out. I played Fenders, I played Ibanez's, and I'd had those instruments in the past. I'm still in love with that particular Warwick bass. It's still my baby. Recorded and wrote all the LD50 stuff on. So it's beyond nostalgia though.
A video from 1999 claims to be the first known live recording of Mudvayne. And taking the video at its word, gazing into the 23-year-old pixels, it's pretty clear Ryan is using a standard Ampeg 8x10 during this time, and quite likely the thumb bass. Additionally, played on the song Nothing to Gain, you can hear the subtle sound of a fretless bass. Many Ryan Martinie fans have long claimed that this is the work of a Padula fretless buzz bass. However, I have not seen first-hand evidence to support this. No photos, no videos, and no interviews. And I have struggled to confirm the authenticity of this claim. The claim has to stem from somewhere, but I haven't seen it. I mean, I can sleep at night. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. In an interview from around 2001, Ryan would recall the experience in an interview with Planet Guitar. I experimented with my sound for a long time. And with my pedantry, I drove pretty much everyone in the studio crazy. It took me 3 full days until the sound was finally the way I imagined it. When all was said and done, Ryan was now using SBT2 Pros with Pro 8x10 cabinets. The Pro models include a tweeter horn, where the standard model does not. Additionally, Ryan shared the use of an SWR 900 head, likely with a matching SWR 2x10 working man's cab, and finally a DBX 160A compressor. Lastly, Ryan reports that he tunes his bass CG/CGF live, while the album is believed to be recorded in F sharp, B, F sharp, B, E. He also uses a standard set of taper wound DR strings from 45 to 130. Producer Andy Wallace was also given praise for the final touch-up to the sound. Ryan beamed. Andy changed my sound so drastically through the use of EQ and compression that I was quite shocked at first. Before he wriggled the sound, it had a lot more bottom and punch. In retrospect, I'm very happy that Andy saw the whole thing more globally, because he prepared the sound in such a way that it fits with the other instruments. And that's the most important thing after all. Now I love the sound. The album LD50 was released in August 2000 and peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Top Heatseekers chart. What followed would be a flurry of activity that occurred in quick succession. 3 music videos were released from LD50. Dig, a brilliant song to hit the mainstream and flood the internet with a tsunami of ridiculous memes. Okay, that one's pretty funny and somewhat accurate. Dig won the inaugural MTV2 award, which was established to honour the best overall achievement by an act whose video premiered on MTV2. In the Dig video, Ryan is playing his 5-string BrBr. The follow-up video, Death Blooms, shows a new bass in Ryan's arsenal, a second Warwick Thumb 5-string in black. Ryan would state in future interviews this 2001 model bass was custom made for him by Warwick and has always been his favourite bass. Lastly, on the video for Nothing to Gain, Elgin compiles live footage of performances at this time using the 5-string BrBr. These 2 basses have been the foundation of Ryan's sound and a mainstay in his rig. The success from these singles, coupled alongside spots on major tours like Tattoo the Earth and Ozfest in 2001, catapulted Mudvayne's career into popular culture at large. Speaking of these tours, more often than not, Ryan's primary bass on the road was the BrBr 5-string NT, with the black 5-string as backup. As for amplifiers and cabinets, most of the time they're hidden behind stage banners or obscured by terrible potato quality videos. Referring back to the Planet Guitar interview from this period, we can presume Ryan was using SBT2s with PR 8x10s and a DBX 160A compressor. It is possible to catch glimpses of Ampeg PRs during US domestic shows, and they can be seen in various configurations of either 1 or 2 8x10 cabs. For shows outside the US, it's not uncommon for Ryan to fall back on the standard Ampeg 8x10s, like at the Rock AM Ring in 2001. Debuting during Ozfest that same year, a 4-string BrBr Warwick Thumb would appear with a typical jazz pickup configuration and bronze-like hardware. The 5-string counterpart by comparison has black hardware, 2 angled MEC single coils near the bridge of the bass, and of course the 5th string. Much of this equipment can also be seen in the live debut DVD, Live Dosage 50 Live in Peoria, released on December 11th, 2001. Hey, are you enjoying the video so far? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button or the notification bell so you will be notified when the next bass rig video is released. And if there's a bass rig you want to see on this channel, you let me know in the comments down below. Back to the show. The follow-up studio album, The End of Things to Come, was released in November 2002. According to guitarist Greg Trebet, speaking in an interview with 2003, we used pretty much the same stuff this time as we did on LD50. The article also includes comments from Ryan, who stated that he used his live rig, agreeing, "It's the sound that I'm most used to and comfortable with." He also confirmed the continuation of Ampeg SBT2 Pro heads and PR 810 cabinets. Additionally, Ryan would add, "I also used an SWR working man's cabinet, pulled the speaker out of it and hooked it up through one of Greg's Mazer cabinets to build my mid-range tone. That delivers all the bottom and top end you want from the SBT combination, and the SWR Mazer combination gives you the mid-range." The article also stated Ryan's bass is now tuned GC/GC/F and still using DR strings, which were later verified as Black Beauties on the subsequent tour. On why this unusual tuning, Ryan declared, "You've got two sets of octaves, so your shapes change as far as the chords that you play. Also, the placement of harmonics is different, so you can do different combinations that are slightly unnatural sounding." A bonus DVD also accompanied some versions of the album and depicts the 4-string BrBr used during the recording process. With the release of the new album came a fresh new look for the band, taking on new identities as neo sci-fi aliens, and labelled with slightly altered monikers. Cud to Chud, Gug to Gug, Spag to Spug, and Rhino to Rudy. Rudy, or Rud, I don't know. I have to include their mission statement, which was included on their website in 2001. I won't read it all, but this is peak 2001. Get your chain while it's ready. To Zeta Reticuli Command and Control Center. From Chud, Gug, Rud, and Spug. Subject, status report. Background, Phase 1 of Operation Imminent Domain, codename LD50, was launched August 29, 2000. Goal, to supervise and ensure the successful crossbreeding between Zeta and human subjects to create a hybrid army. This is totally going to get me banned on YouTube. The resultant offspring will be trained to participate in Phase 2 of Operation Imminent Domain. Team, 4 shape-shifting Zeta operatives, codename Mudvayne, were assigned by Zeta Reticuli Command and Control to implement the covert operation. And on it goes, you get the gist. I don't know what the f is going on here. Anyway, back on planet Earth, 2 music videos were released for the album. Not Falling, which shows Ryan playing a brand new black 4-string thumb bass, and World So Cold, showing the 5-string BrBr. Mudvayne would spend much of 2003 on the road and release a second live DVD from this period. Access to All Things was filmed in support of Metallica during the Summer Sanitarium tour. During a conversation with Ryan's bass tech Tim Matisse, Tim was asked how many basses does Ryan play. Tim responded,
"How many basses do you have to do this to before?"
Usually 4.
Does he use different basses for different songs?
Yeah, different days, different moods. Sometimes he wants certain ones for certain songs.
Throughout this period, Ryan primarily played his 4-string BrBr thumb, with the new black 4-string thumb as a backup. In terms of 5-string play, the black 5-string NT was spotted in some places. 4-string basses were now becoming Ryan's main instrument at this time. He addressed the switch on a Mudvayne Q&A website post explaining, "Many of the songs that we play do not utilize the beat string enough for me to consider it a necessity. So I changed some of the parts slightly to fit a 4-string format."
This is a process that it takes for me not to have creepy man neck.
Nothing wrong with creepy man neck.
You know, there's something wrong with creepy man neck.
I got it.
There's something wrong with that. The fact that I even talked you into shaving my neck for me proves the fact that there's something wrong with you.
Who's got creepy man neck?
We got anymore. Not anymore. Shaved him down.
During very rare moments of the tour, Ryan would also use a Warwick Vampyre bass. When asked his thoughts on the Vampyre by a fan in 2010, Ryan responded, "I never really used it in the studio. The neck is really sweet, I love to play it. It's a really treasured item. But in terms of the Vampyre bass compared to the thumb, they are really 2 completely different instruments. It would require me to have a different rig or make my tech make major adjustments whenever I would use it live." The Vampyre bass would cause some controversy the following year in 2004, when Ryan posed in promotion of the bass for Warwick. A UK magazine, which I cannot find the name of, which is probably a good thing in this case, was supposedly offended by Ryan's double horn gesture. According to Ryan, Warwick pulled the big dick card and threatened to pull all advertising from the magazine if the ad was not run. With regards to amplifiers, during a 2003 TV spot with Carlson Daly, we get a very tiny glimpse of Ryan's racks. Sitting to the far left of the picture, the equipment looks like the SBT2 Pros as confirmed at the time of recording, and also an Avalon DI. Bass Player magazine published an interview with Ryan in January 2003. Despite my best efforts, I have not been able to track down this article. If you or somebody you love has a copy, I need to see this. You know, it's not that big of a deal. I can live without knowing. I could, and I can, but I really like to know it. As was all the rage during the mid-2000s and long before the use of social media, bands would regularly source questions from their message boards and answer them on their websites. Mudvayne did exactly this in 2004. A fan asked Ryan, "When and if ever are you going to make a signature bass?" The reply, written by hand, was scanned and uploaded to the internet only to be turned into bloody hieroglyphs. However, from what I can read, Ryan responded, "I have 5 custom Warwick thumbs, but no talk of a signature line yet. This confirms what we saw in the recent tour, 5 Warwick basses." The next question of interest is regarding effects pedals. What kind of distortion do you use on your bass? I don't. I never have. Why on LD50 are the guitars in B and live you guys play in C, Ryan? Why don't you play your bottom string, Ryan? I've heard rumours about your bass being in GC, GCF, Ryan. Why? The key on LD50 changes for the live setting due to problems holding tuning. I do use my B string, but I chose to use it sparingly due to the already very low tuning, and yes, GC, GCF is our current tuning. Why? Ask my guitar player. Ain't that the bloody truth? Released in April 2005, Lost and Found was met with unenthused grunts from the press, despite popular singles that soon followed. Ryan would confirm his equipment in the May 2005 Bass Player magazine article. This one I did find, thank you very much. As we've previously seen, 4 and 5 string Warwick thumbs with DR Black Beauties, 45 to 105 or 130, and tuned GC, GCF or CGCF. The new additions to his rig now includes an Ampeg SVT4 Pro head and standard 8x10 cabinet. We also get a confirmation of an Avalon U5DI in the rig. In terms of recording Lost and Found, Ryan remarked, "I did a lot of slapping on Dig, and because of that, a lot of people attach slapping to us. Here's Ryan from Mudvayne doing his slappy bit things. I wanted to break my ties with that unless it was necessary for the song." As a result, Ryan began tapping the bass across 2 strings, creating a faux octave sound. I'm not a pedal guy, but I like the sound that people get from octave pedals. So to organically create that effect, I use my right hand, middle and index fingers to tap 2 strings at once. I come down on the strings fairly hard so they actually bounce off the neck. That way I create some top end click, but I retain the tonality. At the same time, I use my left hand to hold and or move the octave. The whole chorus of Happy uses that technique. 4 music videos were released to promote the album, with the 5-string Black Thumb seen on Happy and Forget to Remember, and the 5-string BrBr on the compilation video for Determined alongside the Black 4-string. An animated video was released for the single Fall Into Sleep, but the band is not present. Additionally, it was at this time the band dropped the whole neo sci-fi alien look, in favour of a more t-shirt and jeans look. Commenting on the change in style, Greg Trebek clarified, "People are going to be surprised by the rawness. Instead of being all slick, we're definitely going for a raw sound on this record. The last one was pretty smooth and the first record, LD50, was raw, so we're kinda mixing it up a bit." Much of the equipment on this tour remained consistent, with Ryan swapping between the BrBr basses or the black basses in either 4 or 5 string models. And depending on the country played, you may see Ryan playing Ampeg PRs or standard 8x10 cabinets. In November 2007, Mudvayne released a compilation album aptly named By the People for the People, which featured a track listing chosen by fans, and the band responded in kind with a special acoustic or live version of the track. Mudvayne's 4th studio album, The New Game, was recorded through 2007 and released in November 2008. News articles at the time report the album's production was a bit of a stop-start affair, but progressed successfully. Typically, news articles would end with a nod that Chad and Greg were touring with supergroup Hell Yeah, which is known to be the root cause of some disruption in Mudvayne. Nonetheless, the band did manage to finish the album and release 2 new videos, Do What You Do and A New Game. Ryan used his normal assortment of Warwick basses in 4 or 5 string Black or BrBr. The backline is now hidden off stage. Just over 1 year later, Mudvayne released their self-titled album, Mudvayne, in December 2009. Ryan would share in a 2010 Bass Player magazine article, hinting that his secret weapon was the use of Neve preamps. Additionally, Ryan exclaimed, "I don't really care about my live rig because I'm on in-ears now. and it's all about having a great monitor engineer. So the actual rig itself is kind of a secondary thing to me. It's the bass and a nice DI. I use Avalon DIs. I use them in a studio and I use them live. They break down a little bit if they're on the road, but man, that's a beautiful DI. Ryan would also chime that he's looking forward to using the Jonas Hellborg preamps through Warwick, but had not yet incorporated them into his rig. More on that in part 2. Speaking with the Hollywood Music magazine around the same time, Ryan was asked when will the tour commence, and he responded, "Well, there are no plans as of yet. If people were to be paying attention to what everybody is doing in the band, they would see why. I think there's going to be a tour for this record in the future, but I can't say when. I hope that we do tour it, but there is nothing set out yet." Ultimately, there was no tour to support the album, which in turn had little promotion, and in turn garnered weak sales. A 3-part music video was produced for the album, but the band did not feature in the videos. After the release of the album, nothing more was heard from Mudvayne for 2 whole years. The only news that came forward was in 2011 from guitarist Greg Trebet, confirming on Twitter that Mudvayne was currently on hiatus, while he and Chad concentrated on Hell Yeah for another 2 years. Blabbermouth.net would also reference a statement Ryan made in a 2010 Warwick interview, pointing out much of Ryan's comments were in the past tense and said with finality, "I think that what we did is valuable. It's become a cog in the wheel of music in some sort of way. We are a piece of musical history now. I always saw the band to be important as an aspect of my life, as something that was supposed to take us places that are positive. And in that sense, everything that happened with the band has happened for a reason. And from then on, things will continue to remain silent." Speaking much later in 2016, Chad Gray would state, "Mudvayne, at the time, was basically breaking. I still love and talk to those guys, but it's like being in a relationship, and all of a sudden things just start to fall apart. Mudvayne was just dissolving. It became too much for all of us. It was no one person in particular's fault. We all have faults. It was crumbling beneath us. I chose to be an artist and continue to play in Hell Yeah." And when questioned directly in a second interview if Mudvayne was officially over, Chad replied, "I don't think so. We all still talk. I'm not ready to put a headstone on anything yet." From here on out, Ryan would spend some time playing with Korn, participating in a few side projects like Kurai and Bassist Alliance, and finally end up creating a new funk jazz fusion trio named Soften the Glare, a band where Ryan can finally unleash his talents to the full extent. All of the equipment used in those bands will be covered in part 2, so make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when that episode is released. I'll be going over the brand new fretless bass and amplifiers from Warwick, find out the fate of 2 of Ryan's older basses, and what he was doing prior to the Mudvayne reunion in 2021. Links to that video will be in the description, so don't miss it. Continuing with Mudvayne, in 2019, 10 years after the release of Mudvayne's last album, Ryan would resurface in a 2019 interview with Metal Injection. The news site asked Ryan if there was a potential for a Mudvayne reunion. He responded, "Man, there's always talk about us coming back, which is a good thing. There's still kind of the man, are they going to do it? I don't have any answers for you on that front. As it being a future item, I don't know. Only time can tell." Similarly, guitarist Greg Trebet was asked the same question by the magazine. Trebet responded, "Fans who are calling for a Mudvayne reunion just need a little more patience." And then, on April 19th, 2021, a new Mudvayne YouTube channel will release the Monolith algorithm. No, I don't know what that means either. However, a brand new Mudvayne website was now online, as it looked like somebody forgot to pay the bill for the old one. This website proudly displayed that the band had reunited to play 4 festivals that autumn. The Mudvayne reunion was finally happening after 12 long years. The new YouTube channel regularly posts clips of Mudvayne rehearsals. During a rehearsal of -1, there are a few frames of Ryan playing one of his Warwick 5 strings. And just over his shoulder looks to be a Darkglass 8x10 cabinet. Oh my, how very interesting. And in a second rehearsal video, you can just make out a 1x10 Darkglass cab. Other than that, that's all I got, folks. There could be a Darkglass amplifier hiding somewhere in the shadows here, as the form factor and silhouettes are of a similar shape to Darkglass amplifiers. However, at the time of this video, Ryan is not yet listed as an official Darkglass artist. But it would be interesting to keep an eye on that in the future. You heard it here first. Following the band's first reunion show on September 12th, new teaser clips were posted onto the YouTube channel. In these clips, Ryan is no longer playing the Warwick basses he is famous for. He now plays a custom-made Fodera. This bass in particular dons the nickname Blondie, and a counterpart model in all black, nicknamed Black Beauty, was also spotted soon after. Ryan's funk jazz fusion project Soften the Glare would also officially share the news of the switch from Warwick to Fodera on their Facebook page on September 14th. Fodera themselves would later post, "We had the immense pleasure of working with Ryan to develop a new model based on our monarch body style, to meet the demands of his tone and playing style, as well as his ergonomic preference. What we developed together was an instrument with incredible ergonomics and playability, with a tonal range that can cover everything from jazz fusion to progressive rock to heavy metal. The Ryan Martinie signature Blondie is made of Crahan, capped with quilted maple top, and paired with a 3-piece wenge neck and ebony fretboard. You too can lay your hands on your very own Blondie for just shy of $12,000 or £9,500. Ryan has kept his slanted pickup positions, but now replaced the MEC pickups with EMG, which is also an interesting change to keep an eye or an ear on. The Fodera YouTube channel will publish a video of Ryan touring the shop in December 2021, followed by a chat with Ryan. Unfortunately for us, not much was discussed regarding the switch from Warwick to Fodera. Finishing up with some news from the past months. Ryan and Soften the Glare released their self-titled third album in March 2022. Behind the scenes clips show Ryan using his Fodera alongside an Ampeg cab and Warwick LWA head. Again, the second part of this series covers all of the equipment used in Soften the Glare. You can find a link for that in the description. As for Mudvayne, we are now more or less halfway through 2022, and Mudvayne still have new dates popping up throughout the US alongside Rob Zombie and Static X, so there is still a chance to catch the Mudvayne reunion. In terms of a new album release, Chad Gray appeared on the Drinks with Johnny podcast with Avenged Sevenfold bassist Johnny Christ this April, and Chad cautiously shared,
"Glad to hear that you guys are doing well, and I'm really excited to hear your new shit. And Mudvayne is hopefully going to be working on some new shit soon too. So
Awesome.
Good news, Mudvayne fans, a new album is likely on the table. Take a look at the show notes for a full and comprehensive list of every little thing Ryan Martinie has used in Mudvayne and every other bass rig I've covered. You can continue the Ryan Martinie Bass Rig journey in part 2. Check the description for a link to the Ryan Martinie Bass Rig with Soften the Glare, Kurai and Korn. But if you don't fancy that very much, there's always my Les Claypool or my Cliff Burton videos to keep you busy. They're very popular and I'd love to share this with you. Links are in the description. With Ryan Martinie scratched off the list, I'm now looking for more bass players to cover on this channel. So if there's a bassist you want to see on this channel, you tell me in the comments down below, and I might just do it. One last thing before I go, let me know what you think about the new merch. I love it. I think it's awesome. I'm going to be wearing it everywhere. If you want your own Which Bass t-shirt, tell me in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time.